Hello, and welcome to another episode of Get Your Fill Financial Independence and Long Life, where we explore ways to achieve those two goals and we invite people who are experts on to help us. And today I'm very, very honored to be joined by Tara Chatzakis. Did I do that right?
Yeah, that was perfect. Well done. I know it's a bit of a mouthful.
She is a manifestation expert, and she helps female entrepreneurs to kind of rise above their plateaus, to kind of break through those little barriers, and to to lead a life to like bring on and attract new success with ease and flow. That's my favorite part of what the ease and flow.
The ease and flow. It just sounds so. I can live with that.
Yeah, all right.
Exactly.
Tara, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me, Christine. It's a real honor to be on your show. I'm excited.
Thank you. We're excited too. So tell me, were you always a manifestation expert, or how did you like come upon that journey, that life?
Well, we're all manifestation experts, really. We've been manifesting since before birth. But I think we tend to do it subconsciously. So we just manifest whatever comes our way, and we just keep manifesting the same stuff all the time because we don't consciously work on what we want to achieve and what we want to manifest. So I did a lot of that. I went through my teens and into my 20s, just sort of, oh, okay, I'll do this next and I'll do that next. I've been a chef, I've been a teacher, all sorts of different stuff. I've been a fitness instructor, crikey. I know, right? And now you can't even get me to the gym. It's like, oh my God, do I have
Thank
to
God
exercise?
I cured myself of that.
Exactly. I've got over that one. So yeah, I was just going on and sort of going with what came along next and not consciously thinking about what I wanted to achieve in life. But then I sort of came across the law of attraction, and I was like, oh, this sounds really interesting. What's all this about? So I looked into that a little bit more and thought, crikey, that just shows me how I've created my reality up to date. Because before I thought it was all, I had to do this because of this situation or this environment. And I didn't realize until then that I actually had complete control of everything, every path my life had taken, and all the choices and all the situations. It was all because of me, and I hadn't realized that before. And that was quite a harsh reality, because I had to take responsibility, and that's not really a good thing to do, is it? Like, oh my God, it was all my fault.
Well, I think that's part of like when you tell people law of attraction, like, I never would have attracted this, like, but you did. And until you can like admit to yourself that and see how the correlation, right? Then you're stuck because you're just rejecting. Oh, that's just some kind of woo-woo stuff,
Exactly. Yeah. And it's, we think that life's happening to us. So we think, oh, poor me, I've been given these cards and they're not very good and I have to live with them. But we're actually, we're creating the things that we live. And quite often the things that we go through are things that we need to overcome. We need to get through. And like, if I hadn't have gone through my past, I wouldn't be the coach that I am today, because of the situations that I worked through to overcome. They've made me a different person, and they've made me want to help people differently. So that, they were for my benefit. I just didn't realize at the time.
Right. So when you sort of accepted and embraced the idea that you were, the captain of your ship, and you were in charge of your destiny, what's the first thing you did? Like, how did you like deal with that reality?
I had a bit of a breakdown, actually. I was like, oh my God, no. Well, I was learning more about it. And then when it sort of really hit me, I was in an undesirable marriage, let's say. And I realized that I'd created the situation that I was in. I'd allowed certain things to happen and allowed myself to be controlled. And I absolutely broke down. I was sobbing with tears. I was like so upset with myself. And also I was very relieved to know that actually there is more to life, and I can find that. I have complete control. If I don't like where I am, hell, I can change it. And it was no longer a matter of me being a victim. It was me being the right, okay, now I need to get my stuff together, and now I need to decide what I want to do and go after that, because I'm going to be supported no matter what I do. And I didn't realize that the universe was supporting me in my bad decisions as well, because the universe doesn't care if you want something good or bad.
Right.
It just hears the request, let's say, and it delivers on that. And it was like, okay, well, it's been delivering a lot of stuff recently. Let's change what it delivers to me. And that was, it was life-changing for me. So there were tears of joy and tears of sadness as well.
Yeah. Well, because like you say, once you say, okay, yes, this is me, it's all me, sure, you can feel, beat up on yourself, and you can say, oh, I didn't mean to do this. But you can also, all of a sudden, now you have the power, right? It's not being done to you. It's not like, oh, this was my destiny. It's like, no, I just was sloppy when I was figuring out what I wanted to do with my life. And I was not an intentional manifestor, right? I was a manifestation expert. I just wasn't doing it intentionally.
I like the word sloppy. That's a really good way of summing it up. Yeah, it was very, very sloppy. Yeah, so we are all manifestation experts. We just tend to manifest expertly the crap that we don't want. And yeah, once we realize that, then there's so much opportunity and potential and possibility out there that's just waiting for us, and it's just been waiting for us the whole time, but we've just been ignoring it.
It's true, right? And I occasionally catch myself, thinking something that I don't want to manifest, right? So you think, oh, I don't have the money to do that. And think, oh, wait.
What
Don't
did I
say
just
that,
say?
right? I don't want that to be true. No. Okay, wait a minute. How can I switch? So how can we sort of change that, right? We're in this rut, right? We're in this rut of, noticing what's already been happening, noticing what we've already been manifesting. How do you break out of that?
Well, there's a couple of things there. So first of all, things don't happen immediately. So if you have those kind of thoughts, that, oh, I can't afford it, or I'm not good enough for that, it's not going to be poof and that's it for the rest of your life. So we're quite lucky in that. And it's also important to lean into those feelings. So we're very good at trying to get rid of limiting beliefs that we have, or negative thoughts, because we think we need to get rid of them. So I'm working on getting rid of them. I'm focusing on them. However, so I like to think of it as like baseball. So if you've got these negative baseballs with things written on them, like I can't afford it, or I'm not good enough, or, I'm not in the right society, or whatever your limiting beliefs are, and you're focusing on hitting those baseballs as far away from you as possible, you're not actually hitting them away from you, you're just hitting them into the future. So if you can imagine, they're flying out of the baseball park and they're landing on the streets outside. You're like, yes, I've got rid of them. They're not in the park anymore. But when you leave the park and you start to walk home, you're going to find these baseballs waiting for you. And you're like, damn, I thought I'd got rid of them, but they're still there. They're just further ahead in your future. So you've got to put those baseballs down, accept them, say, okay, well, this is how I'm feeling. Why am I feeling like this? Is this a truth? Is this a true reason to be feeling so sad or upset or not pushing myself anymore? And then start focusing on the positive baseballs and start slogging them into your future rather than the negative ones. Just put the negative ones down for a little while, because we're very good at focusing so hard on them and working so hard on getting rid of them that they consume our thoughts. And as your thoughts become things, the more you're focusing and being consumed by these negativities, the more you're bringing that back into your life.
And that's exactly what we don't want, right?
Yeah, well, you may want that. maybe not. I mean,
I want some more challenges, sure.
Yeah, well, exactly. So, and I know it's not easy to say, for example, let's say you're in debt and you're focusing on the debt and trying to get rid of the debt. Because you're focusing so hard on that, when you start to get, you might start picking up and you get more business and you start getting more money, and then something happens to take that money away again. It could be something crazy like your car needs new tires, or, the boiler breaks on your heating or something. But there's always a reason for it to go again, because you're focusing, and that's your sole intention. You're saying debt, and the universe is going, okay, here you go, have some more.
We're coming, I'm bringing it.
We're coming, just give me a chance. Exactly. So it's finding other ways to bring it to you. But as soon as you start and shift and change that focus onto wealth or abundance, then you're going to get more of that into your life as well. And that's what we really, really want. We want to be happy. We want to be successful, whatever that looks like to you, whether that's a big business or whether it's more time with your family or whatever your success level is, that's what you need to be focusing on.
So how did you originally start to educate yourself on, once you like discovered that the law of attraction was a thing? How did you start to learn more about it?
I did the usual, the research, the videos, the books, courses. I did a course with Dr. Joe Vitale from The Secret on law of attraction manifestation. And I started just to implement those things into my own life to see how, because I'm very, yeah, okay, I believe it when I see it, which a lot of us are. But you've got to see it to believe it, if that makes sense. So you've got to start implementing things for things to start taking off. And sometimes if you're thinking, okay, it's really difficult for me to shift my thoughts, just imagine you've been having these thoughts for however long and it's not worked out too great so far. So why not just give it a chance and have different thoughts and see if that works for you? You don't have to believe me, just try it, because if you're keeping the same thoughts all the time and you're not happy with the results, then try something different. And it doesn't hurt to change your thoughts. It's not like signing up for the gym and being pushed to go all the time. It's a thought pattern that you're changing, and just thinking happy thoughts actually makes you feel better anyway. So that's a good thing. And like people talk about the body is like a bit like a GPS system. So if you're feeling really sad and unhappy, it's because your body's or your spirit's saying to you, this isn't right. This isn't how you're supposed to be living. This isn't your true identity. There's something wrong here. This is why you're feeling so bad. So if it's like a thought that you're thinking like, I'm not good enough for this, or nobody wants to work with me, or whatever your feelings or thoughts are, and you're feeling really bad about it, it's because it's not true. And it's your body's way of saying to you, shift your thoughts, change them to something more positive, because you are, your birthright is abundance and prosperity, and you're neglecting that and you're pushing it away, which is what makes you feel so bad.
Interesting. Yeah. So how did you get into coaching? Were you doing coaching and then you discovered law of attraction, or was it kind of the other way around?
It was the other way around. So because I was learning more about law of attraction and helping people with it, so it started off as me sharing what I knew with other people and helping them. And then I was like, well, I really enjoy this. This is something that I'm good at, and I love doing it. It's better than the teaching or the fitness instructor or the whatever else. So I went into coaching that way. I trained to be a Robbins Medalist coach as well, because I love Tony Robbins, and I love the impact that he has on people. The way he just shifts people's mindsets and their beliefs is just like phenomenal. So I trained in that as well, because I wanted more tools to be able to back it up, because law of attraction, people thought, like you said, it's a bit woo, or it's a little bit out there, but there's a lot of science behind it and people don't understand that. And I think sometimes, well, for me, I felt I needed something else as well, apart from other tools, but also something that people would recognize and say, okay, so this woman is a serious coach. She's not just making it up as she goes along type of thing.
Yeah, it's true. I was actually talking with someone the other day. I interviewed somebody a couple of weeks ago, and that's what he was saying, that suddenly there's all this research that's backing up what the metaphysicists have been saying right along. Quantum physics and all this research that's being done. All of a sudden they're like, oh, look, you can transform energy, and that's where stuff comes from. And oh wow,
yeah,
it's true. You mean wow.
Exactly. We're not just making it up. Honestly, there is a science behind it. It's just people don't see it when they see law of attraction. Somebody said to me a few months ago that they thought I was good at helping people find dates. I was like, no, it's not that kind of attraction. I promise. Although it could work in that way as well, but that's not what it's about.
But actually, that reminds me of one of the podcasts that you just did on your Happy, Inspired, Motivated podcast, the one about, you know, the money as a relationship. Like, let's not talk about money, but you would, it's
Yeah,
funny because we always talk about our relationship with money, but you actually brought it to the next level and say, okay, let's say that this money, right, is your partner.
yeah. How are
And
you
you're
treating
treating
that
it
partner?
right.
Yeah. You're pushing it away. You don't trust it. You're frightened of it not showing up. You're frightened of it when it's there. You try to get rid of it all the time. You hide it in your wallet. You hide it in your bank. You don't take it out in public. It's like, my God, if that was a relationship, you would definitely not be in that relationship very long, would you?
Right. No, that was a fantastic analogy. I really love that. And it's so true. I thought to myself, oh, I've just got this money that's just sitting around, it's not doing anything. I got to bring it out and take it around the town. Right.
Yeah, exactly. Because you've got to give it freedom. You've got to respect it and show it love and appreciation and show it that you're not scared of it never coming back again.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, that's not going out and blowing all your budget. That's not what it's about. But it's, it's showing money that you trust it and that you have a respectful relationship with it and you love it.
Yeah,
People
exactly.
actually get quite a bit when you say that you love money, because I love money. I do openly say that, but that's not that I'm
love, right?
exactly. It's not that I'm sat there going, oh, my precious, look at my money and counting it in the corner like something out of, Christmas Carol, Ebenezer Scrooge. And that's not what it's about. I mean, him, for example, he was the richest man, but he had nothing because he was the poorest. Exactly.
Yeah.
But it's having a healthy mutual respect for money and showing it love and appreciation for what it can bring to your life, the experiences, the things you can do with people that you love and sharing it with other people. That's what it's all about. And that's abundance.
Yeah, exactly. And if you think, like you say, I can't trust you to go out because I know you'll never come back. Well, that's not really a very good relationship.
Yeah. Dusting it off in the corner of your room because it's been there a little while. Yeah. I wouldn't stay there very long either, would you?
The first first chance you get, you're out of there.
Yeah, exactly. The doors open slightly and it's straight out of there and it's never coming back.
Exactly. No, that was an excellent analogy. I really like that. So how do you help people today? How do you help women to sort of break through their mental barriers?
So there's limiting beliefs and different mindsets. So I call them mind scripts. So things that you've been telling yourself for years, and some of them are quite deeply rooted. So they're not necessarily things that you're aware that you're telling yourself, but they come up when you need to take certain action. Like for me, it was not letting people down. And that wasn't something I was consciously thinking when I was working with a client. I wasn't thinking I'm going to let this client down, but it was in there from what I'd experienced in my past. Like when I tried out for the Royal Ballet in London and I didn't get in, and I tried twice, and I felt that I'd let my parents down because they'd invested money in me to go and do all the ballet and everything. And I carried that with me, and I didn't even realize, something that happened to me when I was 8 years old was still affecting me now, until it was brought to my attention. And I was like, oh my goodness, yeah, that makes total sense. So it's identifying what you've got in there, what story, what narrative you keep replaying, and bringing it out into the open and allowing yourself to forgive yourself for whatever you've been holding on to, and switching that from a negative mind script to a positive one. Because as we were talking about the science, you have the scientific proof about the neural pathways in your mind and how they cement together. One experience, let's say you were in school and your teacher asked you a question, you put your hand up and you got the question wrong and your mates were laughing at you. That cements like oh my goodness, if I speak up, if I speak out or stand out, and it's, people are going to laugh at me. And that, so it cements like a neural pathway in your mind. And every time you do something similar, it reinforces that connection. So you've got to break that connection. It's something that happened to you when you were probably like 10 years old. You don't need to have that fear anymore. But your brain, it's prehistoric. It's still wanting to protect you and keep you safe. And safety to the brain nowadays is not being laughed at, not being ostracized. You've got to be in with the in crowd, you've got to be liked, all of these things. And there are certain things that you do that the brain's going, well, that's going to cause pain, because if I do that, then I'm not going to be liked, or people are going to laugh at me, or, and that feels like pain to you now. So it's a matter of identifying them and rewording them and changing the feelings around them so that you can create new neural pathways to support your growth and your success.
How do you help people to identify those? I mean, the things that happened as a child and stuff, how do you help them to kind of figure out that that's what's holding them back?
I've got the easy job, really. So, when I'm working with a client, the questions that we ask or the stories that we talk about, it comes to them. So, they know you've got all the answers within you. You have all the answers that you need. It's just that you can't access them on your own because you're used to hiding them for yourself and for other people. So you need somebody to bring them out. And once they're out there, then the client's like, oh my God, yeah, now I get it. That is one of the things. And it's not like a quick eraser and get rid of it. It's when you've uncovered one belief, quite often there might be one or two underneath that as well that have been masked by that one belief. So the easy one comes up first, and then there might be a couple more underneath after that as well. For example, for women in business, success is quite a new thing, really. I was actually, I was reading about this today, and it was like, we didn't get bank accounts, and we weren't allowed bank accounts as women until we were like the 1960s or something. We couldn't have a mortgage of our own until the 1980s. I mean, this is crazy stuff. It's not that long ago.
Right.
So for us now going into business as women, we've got the belief that, or we've got the thought that, for example, my dad was always the breadwinner. My dad always earned the most money, not my mum. I couldn't do this, and this, or women couldn't do this, and this because they didn't have permission from their husbands, or because they were women, basically. And we've got those ingrained in as well through society that we have adopted in our mindset and in our inner energy as well, without even realizing it. So there's a few others that can be deeper that we uncover as well when we get rid of the first layer, if that makes sense.
No, it definitely does. It absolutely does. Because as you said, it's not just, it doesn't even have to be something that happened to us directly. It's something that we've just absorbed, right, from society, that, women just, it's just a hobby, right? You just go to work just to, get out of the house and make you feel important and have a little money to spend on,
a bit of pocket money.
Right. Exactly. Not like you're going to become a 6 or 7 figure earner. Like, that's a little crazy, right?
Well, exactly. Why would you be doing that? I mean, I was doing a training the other day, and when I'd finished the training, we were just talking a little bit about limiting beliefs and stuff. And I just said about the breadwinner, and the lady whose group it was, she was like, oh my God, that's why I've been thinking it's all right for me to just dip in and out of my business, because it never had to be the main source of income in the household because I've got a husband. I'm like, well, exactly. Why does it need to be a main business? Because your husband's bringing the money in. And
not only that, if you start making more than him, right? Oh, that's a problem.
Yeah, it can be. Yeah, I mean, for some people, it's a, well, how, if I start making a lot of money, which, it could be your goal, but then it's like, how's that going to affect my relationship? Is that going to put a strain on the relationship with my partner or with my parents or friends? If I start earning more and I start being busier, then what's that going to take away from me? My dad worked a lot of hours. He was his own businessman, and he used to work like 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. and he used to work 6 days a week. So I grew up with that, seeing that my dad was really hardworking. So to me, it's like, if I want to make money, I have to take time away from my kids, and I'm a single mum, so I can't do that. So it's, it's all subconscious. It's not something I sit there thinking about and talking about at the kitchen table, but it's there. Yeah. It's within me.
It's funny. You just reminded me when I was when I got divorced from my husband, my mom said, when we were first having trouble, she said to me, well, he doesn't feel important. You have to let him open jars for you. Like, Mom, I don't think I can do that. I've just got to open my own damn jars. Right? Just like give him some token to make him feel important. I mean, even though you don't need him, he has to feel like you do. Like, can't I just
but
want him?
Why can't his importance come from bringing you joy? From
just being loved,
doing,
yes,
being from loving you and lighting and giving and making you smile. Why is that not enough? For some men, it is. Yeah. And I think men need training. I know it sounds a weird word, but they need to be educated on that as well. They don't have to be the man with the spear stood at the door, getting the food for the table and opening the jars and whatever else. They can just be part of the family and give as much to their wife or partner as they give back to them. And it's pure joy and love and that kind of relationship. Nothing to do with external things like money and
just supporting each other to do things that you love. And exactly.
Yeah.
Interesting. So how do you, once you've discovered this is what the person, some things that are kind of holding them back, some beliefs that don't serve them anymore. How do you help them to put those baseballs in a bag somewhere?
Put the baseballs down.
Yeah.
Well, it's once you've identified, some of the beliefs that you've got, it's not that it's easier, but when you know what the situation is, when you know what's been holding you back, it's easier to work on it. And that's, incorporating, like I said, the positive mind scripts instead, identifying when certain beliefs come up or feelings come up in your day-to-day life and addressing them when they do arise instead of letting them fester. Because they just become bigger and compounded the longer you leave them there. So it's looking at them and feeling into them, accepting them and acknowledging that they're not what's stopping you from going forward. They're in your mind, they're in your belief system, which is connected to your body, but you're the one that's allowing them to stop you. So it's working with the client to get through those situations and keep showing up anyway, regardless, and knowing that if they don't, they're not delivering what their clients need from them.
So when people start, I'm thinking about, we haven't actually touched on this, but it just popped into my head, so I'm going to go with it, and that is intuition. So once people sort of start to get on the right path and they're going the right way, right, they're going to, like, my instinct is that they're going to get these sort of nudges to do things a little bit differently.
Yeah. So let's say you've been focused on your positive baseballs and you've been slogging them out of the park and you're walking along. As you're walking on, let's say you're going home, there might suddenly be a shortcut that you hadn't noticed before that'll get you there quicker. And you can't see that shortcut from where you're studying at the beginning. You have to have started walking before you stumble across it. Yeah. So things are going to open up, opportunities come, different situations, different people, and they come as you are making those moves. So if you're not moving, if you're stood where you are and you just look at the two baseballs, the good ones and the bad ones, then nothing's changing. But once you start making those moves, following the positivities, then other situations arise and other opportunities arise. And it could be that, you may have said, okay, I'm going to write a book and I'm going to make millions from my book because it's going to be amazing. So you start writing the book, but being deadly focused just on that path means that you're blocking all the shortcuts and the side roads out. So you might be writing that book, and then through doing that, it may lead you to a different opportunity, maybe podcasting, or, maybe going on the TV or guest speaking, or it could be something that comes up as a result of what you were doing. And yeah, you'll still do that end result. You'll still write the book, but there may be other opportunities that have come along because of that. So you've got to be open for those at the same time.
And how can you know that you're not just like in the book example, let's say someone gives you another opportunity, you say, oh, I really shouldn't do that because I want to finish this book, or it's important for me to finish this book. How can you be sure that you're not just allowing yourself to be distracted, that this little detour is actually going to bring you to where you ultimately want to be?
I guess there's a couple of ways, like you said, intuition, you can feel if it's a good fit for what you're doing. And when you're saying, it's putting you off from finishing that book, who's creating the deadline? There's no reason why you can't stop on your way home and grab yourself a milkshake and sit there for 5 minutes and then carry on. You can still go on the same path, or the two things, you could be walking with the milkshake. So you can do the two things at the same time. It doesn't have to be mutually exclusive, this or that. The things can combine together. So it depends on what opportunities come up.
And just feeling, does this feel like, oh yeah, I'll just put this down for a minute and not, go over here? Or does it feel like, oh yes, this is gonna, this feels good. It feels like I have to do this. It feels like I really
yeah, and it should do. We're supposed to be having fun. It's a game of life. If it's not fun, what the hell are we doing? We got to be having and enjoying and allowing ourselves to have fun on the way, because we sometimes get so bogged down in the doing that we forget to be, and that's just as bad for us, because we need to allow ourselves to live as well as just doing and doing and doing. And that's quite a masculine energy to be in as well, doing and for the sake of doing.
Yeah.
Feminine energy is much more creative and allowing, and is more open to opportunities. So you've got to have a good balance of both. There's no reason why you can't be doing and allowing at the same time.
Yeah, excellent. So, Tara, how does it look? Like if I said, okay, I really need to get plugged into my law of attraction, understand how all these things are going to manifest in my life. I want to work with Tara. So how does that work? What would happen? What would it be like?
What would it be like? I'd be terrible.
Well, I mean, like, what's the first thing? How do you first start interacting with people and helping them to get plugged into, where they need to go and stuff?
I do a lot with my Instagram. So I do, I've got quite a lot on there that helps people to sort of start waking up to it and being open to the opportunity and the potential that's out there. When I'm working with clients, it's one-to-one working client coaching. So we work together over 6 months, and we really get deep into what is holding you back to lift that up. And there's a lot of work that you do yourself through that, because obviously I'm the facilitator. I can't do the work for my clients. But it's the progress. It's the progression. It doesn't happen after one coaching session. You have light bulb moments, but you don't have full transformation, because these things didn't happen overnight. So it's a progression that you work through, and there's always something that comes up that's, like I said, that was masked from something else. So it's really good to tap into that and have me running along the side, if that makes sense. So, while you're doing the work, I'm there supporting you and bringing things
out and stuff,
bringing more things out for you, which sounds a bit uncomfortable, but it's actually not that. It's not a bad experience.
We'll be digging down.
Yes, I mean, right, sit down and tell me all about it. No, I'm much gentler than that, I promise. And it's a matter of holding a safe space for my clients, because this kind of work, it's not superficial. So they have to be reasonably vulnerable at times, and I create the space for that to happen. So I keep them safe in my container, if you like, to allow them to be open and share their experiences with me, because they are quite personal. And every client's different, but we all have very similar limiting beliefs, even though we think, oh my God, I'm the only person that's got this thought, when you're not. A lot of us have the same ideas running through our head. And it's actually quite refreshing to know that as well, to know that we're not the only ones that are going through this. And we do some meditations as well, because that's a really good way to reconnect with yourself. And like I said, just be rather than doing all the time.
Yeah, and listening.
Yeah, exactly.
What might be going on in your head.
Yeah, and we have, you know, something I learned from Tony Robbins, like he calls it a thermostat. So we have our own success or happiness or financial thermostat that we don't like to go over. You know, when you've got your heating set to 18 degrees, if it goes under, then it boosts it back up to 18. If it goes over, then it brings itself back down. And we have exactly the same things in our bodies. When we get to a certain level of success, let's say that's 5 clients, if a 6th one comes along, we feel uncomfortable and we subconsciously push that 6th one away because we're not comfortable having that extra client there. And if we go below, then we panic and we start doing extra work to try and get back up again. So it's we get very comfortable at a certain level, and we have to be able to push through that to get to the next level of success.
Yeah.
And that could mean different processes in your business. It could mean different things that are automated. So we know we look at the whole picture. It's not just you, it's how you're showing up in your business as well. Are you showing up as the hobbyist or as the business owner that you are?
So you're not just coaching the individual, you're actually doing some business coaching as well.
The two kind of go together. So, you know, working on the person as that person grows, there are certain things that they need to change. I'm not a business strategist, but there are certain things that can help them make that transition much easier. And I help them with that as well along the way. So
excellent. So I know the ideal would be that everyone would call you and work with you directly, but is there anything that people could do today to sort of like, you know, help them to get a little bit closer to that goal of, you know, understanding their own responsibility, or, you know, breaking through a barrier, anything that you would, you know, if you met a friend on the street and they say, oh man, I just need some help, like what would you say to them?
take a look at as I said, the baseball method. So think about whether or not you're spending so much energy focusing on getting rid of things that you don't want. You know, if you ask the person on the street, what do you want from life? The first few things they'll tell you are probably things that they don't want. You know, I don't want to be in this house. I don't want to be in this relationship. I don't want to be in this debt. I don't want to, whatever. I'm not happy with my job. And if we're focusing on those things, as I said, they're showing up further in our future. So take a look at what you're focusing on. Are you focusing on the things that you don't want or the things that you do want? And if you're focusing too much on the negatives, give yourself a chance to take a look at the positives. So writing down what you would really love in your goals, and not just what you think you can achieve, because that limits you again, because you're just writing what you think if somebody saw that piece of paper, they wouldn't laugh at it. It's the school putting your hand up, isn't it? So it's, you know, we don't want to write down, I want to make 10 million pounds, because if somebody saw it, they'd be like, ha, they'd be laughing at you. Yeah. But if that's what you want to do, write that down. Don't be embarrassed. These are your dreams, and everyone has something completely different. So writing down exactly what you want, getting focused on what it is that you want as a desired outcome for your life, for your business, how that's going to make you feel. Why is it you want that? You know, if you're wanting that 10 million, it's not because you want to sit and look at it. What is it going to give you? Is it going to give you experiences with your family? Can you travel more? Can you buy a house? Can you give back to the community? And why do you want that? Because it's a feeling, you know, energetic vibrations that leave our body and our thought patterns are amplified by feelings. So really tapping into the feeling of wanting it and actually having it. You know, how amazing would it feel to have that money in the bank? What would I do with it? And getting really excited. And that starts the ball rolling towards a more abundant outcome than the one that you've been following on. So you've got to get really aware of what your thoughts are, what you're thinking, and how you're feeling about them. As I said, if you're feeling bad, it means that it's not true. It's something that you need to change, because our default setting is happiness. And if we're taken away from that, we feel bad. So get back on the happiness trail.
Nice. Excellent. Tara, thank you so much. So tell me, is there something you wish I would have asked you, or something that you really want to share that we haven't touched on today?
I would say too many of us are making do with a good life when we should be living a great life. And it's time now to make those changes. You know, I don't know how much you know about the energy in the universe, in the world around us, but it's shifting and it's moving away from the traditional loneliness, competition, paranoia, and all those negative thoughts. And the energy around us is shifting into a more of pronoia, which means that the universe and people around us are supporting us and for our success. So allow yourself to feel those emotions more, allow yourself to become more abundant and happy, and share your gift with people, because there's people out there that need everything that you offer. And if you don't tell them about it, then you're doing them a disservice, because their lives could be changed by the work you do. And if you're not sharing it, then it's not going to help anybody, which is such a shame.
Definitely, definitely. Awesome. Thank you very much. That was fantastic. So listeners, I know that you're going to want to reach out to Tara and definitely benefit from all that you're sharing on Instagram. So can you tell people how they should, reach out to you and learn more about you? And we're going to put this in the show notes as well. But
yeah, so on Instagram, it's Tara Chatzakis, which if it's in the show notes, it'd be fine because you'll be able to spell it then.
It's just like it sounds. It's spelled just like it sounds.
Yeah, exactly. If you want to learn more about the law of attraction and manifesting, my podcast, Happy, Inspired, Motivated, I share on that every week. Sometimes I interview guests as well. So it's a great way to start learning more and maybe opening yourself up to the possibility of your potential.
Definitely. Excellent. And so I know, listeners, that there's somebody who, after hearing Tara speak, I know there's somebody that you can think of who's really going to benefit from what she's sharing. So please share this podcast with them and allow them. And remember, this isn't really your problem, but I want to be in 50 countries. Like in the next couple of months, we're over 40 countries now. I really want to get into 50 countries. So please, if you know somebody in another country, please share the podcast with them, because that would just be for my own vanity, but I think it's really fun.
No, you're reaching more people and more people are going to get the message, which is great.
Exactly. And we'll see you next week. Thank you.